Hey wild ones, I'm Lucy and this is Pussy Powered. In today's episode, we're going to talk about spicing things up in the bedroom when you feel like sex is getting a little bit boring. Now, we all have a home base when it comes to sex. When you've been with someone for a long time, you develop routines and habits. At some point, you may realize that you're doing the same thing a lot of the time, maybe all of the time. And so then sex begins to feel more mechanical and more like just checking another thing off of your list, which doesn't make it as exciting to look forward to. You might even be nonchalant about it, like, I could take it or leave it. I've definitely had many of those moments throughout my marriage of almost 14 years, and I will tell you this, there is always a way to spice things up with that same partner. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite ways to spice things up in the bedroom with my husband, and something that has helped so many other women, especially women who are also in long-term relationships and they're mothers and they're working or they have a business. They're very busy women with very full lives. We don't have time for bullshit. We don't have time for fluff. We want the meat. We want the shit that works. So today I'm gonna give you the shit that works. And before I get into any of the details, I want to preface this with, it is so important to have the fundamental trust and connection in your relationship for any of this real unleashing to happen. Because when you're unleashing, when you're awakening this raw, primal sexual energy, it's important to feel like you're in a safe space to explore this. So if you're in a tough spot in your relationship or you're in a rut in the relationship, not just in sex, although sex really reflects a lot about the relationship, then I encourage you to use this as an opportunity to instill more trust and connection between you and your partner. Before Ryan, my husband, and I began doing our individual deep inner healing, addressing unprocessed emotions and past traumas, deep pains, this is one of the things that kept us connected sexually, even when it felt like a lot of other things were going to shit. Never underestimate the power of sexual energy. Again, the life force of everything. Use it wisely, harness it, work with it, let it flow through you. If your partner is absolutely not willing to do this with you, then don't force it. Make this an invitation that's free of judgment and criticism, where you can both safely do this together. So the first thing, this is something that you can do by yourself first, is to bring your sexual fantasies to the light. A lot of times we have those things that turn us on or make us feel like tingly inside that, we don't fully own, or we don't want to admit to ourselves because it's too weird, or it's too kinky, or it's dirty, or just we feel like it's completely wrong. But sexual fantasies are completely normal, and if you have one of these kinds of sexual fantasies, you are in the majority. So don't feel like a freak, own your freakness, own your inner slut. Look at your sexual shadow. When you look deep into this sexual shadow that is within all of us, you will discover so much about yourself. You can get so many insights about your needs and where you feel like your needs are not being met emotionally. And I'm not just talking about a need for love and acceptance, which is at the foundation of everything that all humans need and crave, but also this need for control, this need to be able to surrender. It's this paradoxical both and that we all want, but they are so contradictory to each other that when we try to make logical sense of it, our mind just kind of explodes and we say fuck it and we give up. What I'm asking you to do is don't give up. Lean into this. Get real with yourself about what your sexual fantasies are. So again, some really common ones that majority of people have are some form of BDSM, domination and control, multi-partner sex. This could be anything from threesome to a room full of people having an orgy. Side note, the very first fantasy that I ever acknowledged to myself and to my husband was a fantasy I had about as being Snow White and having the seven dwarves like just around me, ready to pleasure me in whatever way I commanded. I used to think that was so hot. Anyway, some other common ones are fantasies about taboo sex, having sex in public, having sex in a place where people can see you or discover you, in a stairwell against the innuendo, voyeurism, all of the taboo things. Some of these things are like, well, it's literally illegal to do that. I'm not gonna actually do it, but something about it is just really hot. And then of course, role play. So again, it's so important to be willing to discover these things by yourself before you courageously share it with your partner. Unless you wanna go straight in for it, that is completely up to you. Trust your gut. Once you have spent some time examining your sexual fantasies and just bringing them to the light in yourself, invite your partner to simply sit and listen to you share about them. If he or she is open to it, you can also invite him or her to share about their fantasies. It's really important that when you do this, that you're both committed upfront, set the clear intention that this is a non-judgment space. This is a non-criticizing space. So whatever you say, I'm going to respect it and honor the person that it's coming from, listen attentively, and let the other person finish sharing before I interject. These are basic communication principles, but they are worth repeating, especially because when you get into a conversation that can potentially get a little bit heated or has any kind of potential shame or self-judgment or guilt around it, it is absolutely necessary to maintain a safe space for sharing. What this is gonna do also is create more trust between you and your partner, because as you share and the other person is attentively listening, actively listening, and vice versa, you're proving to each other that you can hold this space without attacking, without deflecting, without projecting your own shit onto the other person. So make the invitation to let yourself be heard, and then to take it a little bit further, make the invitation for the other person to share in return. The sharing in itself can be so fucking hot, because as you begin to talk about your fantasies, your physiology will change. Like, you might find that you're getting physically, sexually aroused just thinking about those things, and your partner is going to see that. They're gonna sense that. And even if it's these thoughts of these fantasies that are arousing you, your partner's gonna feel like they're partially responsible for that. They're letting it be drawn out of you. So don't be surprised if you get super hot and bothered just while you're sharing, especially if you feel like you're in this safe space where you can share without judgment or criticism. Third, choose a curiosity or a scenario to actually play out. This doesn't mean you have to go out and find people to have multi-partner sex with or actually tie each other up yet, but something as simple as talking about these things while you're having sex or while you're doing foreplay, talking about what you would like this person to do to you while he watches or whatever it is, talking about how you would like to tie him up or how you would like to be tied up, creatively verbalizing. Words can be so sexy. Tell him what you want to do to him, what you want him to do to you in graphic detail. There's something I want to emphasize about playing out your fantasies and your partner playing out his or her fantasies is that it's so important to give each other dedicated playtime. And what I mean by this is don't try to play out both fantasies at once, because then what if they're completely in contrast of each other? It's rare that both partners' fantasies actually line up. So what a lot of couples end up doing, what we end up doing, is we take turns with, okay, now it's like we're gonna play out your thing, the thing that's like really kinky for you, the thing that is out of my comfort zone, but I wanna, like, I'm getting into it, I wanna be more into it. So it's all about him connecting with his fantasies. And then on another night, it can be all about me connecting with my fantasies and doing what I want or what I want to be done to me. When you do this, you won't get stuck in this whole resentment and shallow fulfillment of middle ground. So to keep it simple, at least to start out, have your own dedicated nights. And then of course you've got all of your other sexual experiences where you're at your home base, where you feel grounded and everything's familiar. The fourth thing is to set a different mood before you go into your fantasy play. Maybe play around with the lighting or a special playlist, some sexy lingerie, something different on your bed, some special sheets. Depending on what you're doing, you might need to like have waterproof sheets. Sex toys or props. set the stage and create a vibe. That one thing helps so much. It makes such a difference. And finally, check in with each other throughout your experience in a gentle, casual way, a reassuring way. Hey, how does that feel? How do you like that touch? Is that a good speed for you? How do you like that pressure? Certainty is sexy. Confidence is sexy. So really embody your confidence, your femininity, your masculinity, whatever it is, if you're giving or receiving, whatever role it is that you're taking in this exchange with your partner, check in with each other. This is all, again, about trust and openness, and there has to be an open channel of communication. Or if you're checking in with your partner and you do feel anxious, you don't feel totally confident, being honest, authentic, transparent, and vulnerable is also sexy and creates such deep trust. So with this checking in step, this is not just a step you do it once and then you move on. This is a continuous awareness of what is going on in you and your body and in what is going on in your partner's body. And the more you do this, the more it will just flow and come naturally, and your instincts will kick in, getting permission, giving permission, receiving, giving, shifting, flowing. So give this a try and see what happens to your sex life. Bring that primal energy back into your bedroom. But before you have sex, be sure to check out my video with this powerful breathing technique to help get you connected with your sexual energy and get your juices flowing even better during sex. And please let me know in the comments how it goes. I would love to hear from you. I love hearing these stories from women when they're like, oh my God, I tried the thing and I had this amazing experience with my partner. Please don't hesitate to share. It's also really encouraging for other women to see and read about other women's experiences. It helps give ourselves permission to put ourselves out there a little bit more and take the risks and be courageous and step out of our comfort zones. Stay tuned for more juicy content. In the meantime, here's to your unleashing for a pussy-powered life.